Hello, everyone, and welcome to Granblue Fantasy, the browser game, the gotcha game, the original. In the wake of the release of Granblue Fantasy Relink, I've seen a lot of questions in a lot of places about this game, about the original Granblue Fantasy, and that kind of made me think to myself, well, I kind of want to play it again, and I want to start the game over, start the game with a certain set of rules, right? Because I'm a longtime player of Granblue Fantasy. I've been playing for mm, several years. I don't remember exactly how long. There's been on and off periods, but I've been playing the game for years at a time, and I'm near end game. I haven't cleared everything, but I have an account that has very functional grids in all elements. Very functional characters everywhere. I have a lot of fun with it. But I want to start the game anew with some different rules so that we can kind of experience Granblue Fantasy in a different way. Um, the biggest one of these rules that I want to employ is that I don't want to use the gacha. I don't want to pull for characters. I don't want to pull for weapons. It's not going to be easy necessarily, but I want to see how far I can progress without pulling from the gacha at any point, except for when it's forced. I will, and you'll see shortly, Granblue Fantasy forces you to pull the gacha during the tutorial. There's not much I can do about that. It's going to happen. But outside of that, I would like to only progress via standard progression methods, doing side stories and doing raids, the shop, things like that. I also want to try to avoid taking advantage of any limited time campaigns and also any limited time events because I want to make this playthrough be something that is time agnostic. So I want this to be a playthrough that more or less if you were to start the game at any point and follow the same steps, you'll end up being able to emulate the progress that you'll see. Now, I'm going to start the game and do the tutorial during this video. And afterwards, I'm planning on making two different kinds of videos. One will be story progression. I kind of want to, record the story, maybe have a few reactions to it, because it's been a long time since I've gone through the early game of Granblue Fantasy. And there are some story beats that I'm a little fuzzy about, having, reached the end of the current story. And for those of you who may be watching who are Relink players, you may not be familiar with the story at all. And in that case, boom, you'll be able to kind of just get some insight into the story if you don't want to play. The second kind of video that I want to do are more progression videos. Anything that comes up that's difficult, I want to um, record it and put it out there. So basically, first clears of raids, because oh, forgot to mention that on the rules. I want to make sure that I don't host a raid and then pub it. You know, make request backup without having cleared it solo. I want to clear every raid solo. And that's just to add a little bit of challenge, make sure that the account is making progress. Now, so I want to anytime something difficult comes up, I'm gonna do that. Now, let's click on the new game button. If you first come onto this page, which is game.granbluefantasy.jp, it will probably be in Japanese. You can click this drop down and change the language. It will also reload the game. As you see, we have a different splash screen now. But it's all good. Switch off to English because I am an English speaker. And I'm going to click New Game, which will, of course, bring us to this thing saying terms of service. Those are in Japanese. There's not much you can do about that. You could translate them if you want to. Largely, it's what you expect from terms of service from basically anything online. So we're going to agree to that. Now, this is ultimately not an important decision. However, with some foreknowledge that I'm going to take advantage of, there's going to be side stories are where we're going to get a lot of our stuff, a lot of our good stuff, in fact. And for similitude, in the idle events, I'm going to pick the female main character. I don't remember exactly which one, but one of these idle collab events either forced you to or really, really asked you to vehemently to switch to female main character. It's largely irrelevant. They're pretty much identical. I think there's some really old characters that affect like male or female or something like that. I don't remember. They're not very good, and they're very old, and we're not gonna get any of them, so it doesn't matter.
空の青さを見つめていると見知らぬ彼方へ帰りたくなる。空の青さに吸われた心は遥か彼方に吹き散らされる。果てだ。ここは空の果てだ。ついにたどり着いた。我が子よ、星の島イスタルシアで待つ。厳かに神秘の奉られるこの島に今始まりの風が吹いていた。
I'm not gonna lie. I have to fight every fiber of my being to avoid hitting the skip button or tapping to skip voice lines. I'm gonna try to avoid doing that during this playthrough. I usually end up doing it, and I actually really frustrate myself for doing it. I guess I'm a little too impatient for my own good sometimes. But there is a solution. See, the solution is this little auto button. And I could read the unvoiced dialogue, but it does turn out that there's not that much of that in this game. And I'm not a very good narrator anyway. So let's just enjoy the lore dump here at the beginning. I will also note, if you click auto, the auto button actually disappears. But if you click where the button was, it stops autoing. Slight comment on that lore. Since I am someone who is a native English speaker, but is Japanese fluent, we look at this text log, right? This lore. it being translated as just the war is a little strange. Basically, it would roughly translate to something like the Sky Sundering War, which is a little bit cooler than just the war. But, that's not really relevant. It's just something I thought was worth commenting on.
なあなあ、お前本当に村を出るつもりなのか？いくら親父さんの手紙にあったからって空の果てなんてそんな場所をたどり着けるわけ。
Alright, now we
あ
have...
あ、完全なる空図か？
Stop
あ
that.
の何百年も前に星の民が記したっていう。
So you'll have seen it because of the fact that I had it on auto and didn't actually select the dialogue option. The dialogue options don't really matter that much. There's some slight variations in responses, but ultimately, they're basically, when they show up, multiple paths to the same goal. So it's not a branching visual novel or anything. It's a pretty linear story. Anyway, let's continue with the red flying reptile.
そりゃそれがあればどこだって行けるかもしれねえけどよ。あんなものおとぎ話だぜ。まあ言い出したら聞かないしな。こんな村でひっそり暮らしてるよりかは全然面白そうだけどさ。あ、待て待て待て、なんだよありゃ。ありゃ、どっかの国の戦艦か。なんだってこんなど田舎に。あにゃ、なんだ、今なんか爆発したぞ。
Man, I love the art in this game.
なんだって火ついた軍艦の部品かなんかか。
It's just a
それ
random comment,
も
but
し燃えたまま森に落ちたんだとしたら。
it's part of the reason that I started the game in the first place. And it's remained true for the entire time that I've played it.
軍艦から何か落ちたんなら多分この辺に。いっただ。なんだこの嬢ちゃん、見たことない顔だな。助けてください。おいおい、遺体全体どうしたってんだ。
そこの者止まれ。剣を足元に置いて両手を上げろ。
Yep. Yeah. Early game does have, you know, a decent amount of tropiness to it, with evil empires and the like. There's definitely some more depth to the story, but it does start, you know, in a pretty generic place. Random trivia. These scenes didn't originally have these images, and if I remember correctly, when I first started at least, you could only start the game as the male main character. You could change later, obviously. It's the same as you'll be able to do later here also. And also, they've updated the images that they use for the main character in this in the intro. Again, not relevant, just my habit of sharing random bits of lore and trivia that I happen to know. I have not done this tutorial. I have not done this tutorial in a very, very long time. So let me attempt to make sense of it. See, I skipped the voice line. Alright. Yeah, so ultimately, at its core, Granblue Fantasy is a turn-based RPG. Basically, we make a few choices, tap the attack button, and that takes our turn. So, when that happens, we're all good. The turns kind of play out automatically after we've made all the choices and tap the attack button. Now, targeting, manual targeting at least, is a feature that some players, even much later in the game, forget about. You shouldn't forget about it. It's very important. And yeah, the game involves a it involves a very simple elemental advantage system. There's 6 elements in the game. Each one of them has advantage over one of the others. And in the case of fire, wind, water, and earth, they also have, so they have advantage and weakness, each against one. Light and dark pair with each other, and both count as advantaged against each other when you're playing as that respective element. Not relevant at the moment, since this icon here demonstrates that my character is wind. And you can see this chart here that will not be here later has the elemental advantage mapped out. So let me just run this battle real quick. So yeah, the in-game tutorials just kind of explained it. Both your side and the enemy side have different methods in which they get to their special attacks or super attacks or whatever you want to call them. I believe the in-game English translation is charge attacks, or something else for the enemy. I don't remember. But basically, it's an asymmetrical RPG battle system. Yeah, and later on, when I'm making videos about the story, there will be less commentary for me. More like commentary about the story. But because this is kind of an intro video on both sides, there's going to be some comments about the gameplay system as well. It's just how it ends up being. I hope it doesn't end up being too awkward, but
怪我はないようだな。
either way,
君たちがルリアを守っ
I
て
can
くれたの
adjust
か。
later.
守るっつうかなあ、あの兵士たちオイラたちのことも狙ってくるもんだから。あのねあの人私を助けてくれてすっごくかっこよかったんだよ。
そうか。とにかく無事でよかった。
それでよ、あんたらは一体何なんだ？さっきのやつらの仲間ってわけじゃなさそうだけどよ。
失礼した。私はカタリナ・アリゼという。この子はルリア。助けてくれて感謝する。私からも礼を言わせてくれ。
You know, it's not brought up very often,
君も
so I
よか
totally
った
forgot
ら
what
名前を教えてくれない
Granblue's
か。
last name was. Alright, so this is essentially the input field for your account's display name. Now, this can be changed later, so it's not a huge issue. There's a default. It's Gran for male, Jita for female, which is obtained by doing weird things to the name of the game, Granblue Fantasy. The male name Gran is pretty obvious. Jita's a little weirder, but anyway, if that's something you want to know, you can comment about it or ask find out somewhere else. Either way. Alright, so I'm just gonna leave it as default for now. Might change it later, but for now, we'll leave it as it is, and just for the story immersion, I guess.
どこから？
そうだ、追われている。なのでここは危険だ。またあの兵士たちが来るだろう。君たちは早く。
カタリナ注意。何をこんなところで道草を食ってるんですかね。注意ともあろうものが単独行動ですか。
ポンメルン大尉、申し訳ありません。直ちにルリアの保護を。
まったく白々しいですね。少女を逃がしたのはあなたでしょ。偉大なるエルステ帝国に立てつこうだなんていい度胸ですね。秘密の少女の観察役を賜っておきながらこの仕打ち。最小閣下がどれだけ失望なさるか。あなたなら事の重大さを理解しているはずですね。聖少獣を制御するためにその少女は必要不可欠ですからね。背任は重罪ですよ。
大尉、聖少獣を私たち人間が、それも軍事にその力を利用しようというのは危険すぎるかと。聖少獣は星の民の遺産、かつての大戦で空を焼いた恐ろしい兵器です。その力や正体はまだわからないことも多く、人の手で制御するには。
話題をすり替えないでほしいですね。まったくこれ以上くだらないことに時間を費やしたくありませんね。手っ取り早くやるとしますかね。ここほどの辺境なら村ごと消し去ってしまえば足がつくことはありませんからね。
だと
邪魔者は排除するのみ。聖少獣を従える力は帝国のものなのですからね。ひど
So I have not seen these scenes in a very long time.
そのまさかですよ、注意。
Right,
あなたに
I've
も
played
ち
the
ゃ
game
んと責任を取ってもらいます
through the
から
story
ね。
replay more recently than when I started, but that does not involve going back to the tutorial. So it's been a while. It's kind of nice to see this stuff in its updated form.
こんな化け物どこからあのヒゲのおっさんが連れてきたっていうのか。カタリナ、
本当にこの島ごと焼き払うつもりか。そこまでしてルリアの力を利用しようというのか、帝国は。
だからそうだと言っているでしょう。帝国が全空の支配者となるための礎として必要なのですからね。その研究の一環としてこの島にある聖書の祠を探しに来たわけですが、まさかそれに乗じて脱走を図るなど手花をくじかれた気分ですよ。
カタリナ、ごめんなさい。私がわがままを言ったせいでこんなことに。
ルリア、外の世界を見せると約束したんだ。必ず約束は守ってみせる。
おいおい、やるってのか、あいつ
と。どいつもこいつも現実ってものが見えてないようですね。ヒードラー、まずはそこのガキからだ。
I love Pomeran's
血
voice.
祭りにあげて差し上げなさい。
He's got some weird inflections. But he sounds so silly while he's ordering around this Hydra and ordering our deaths. So he's just a pretty silly person.
しっかりしろよ。
くっくっくっく、なんとあっけない。
Alright, game over. Guess we're dead.
民間人、それも子供を。
See?
パメルン、貴様どこまで腐った。
I guess the tutorial is just not beatable.
嘘だろ。冗談だよな。返事しろよな。おい。大丈夫だから。
この光は
村の祠の聖書が反応してやがる。この嬢ちゃん。
ほう、これが例の祠だったわけですね。しかしこれは一体。
大丈夫。私の力あなたに預けます。
Alright. So, yeah. Summon tutorial. Alright, let's do this.
大丈夫なのか。
So, we are no longer dead. That's good. Given that we have no other characters. If we were dead, we would not be able to continue.
致命傷を与えたと思ったのですがね。まあいいでしょう。ヒドラか。
Oh. I might learn eventually. I might. Anyway, so we're just gonna press the button. We deal no damage.
全然聞いてねえぞ。大丈夫です。
That's just how this fight goes.
どうしたんですか？全然聞いてませんね。
とにかく攻撃するしかね
もう飽きてきたですね。そろそろ終わりにしなさいですね。
Oh man, it's just very over the top. Anyway, just keep pressing the button until we almost die.
バンジキュースか。準備ができました。聖書の力あなたに預けます。
Anyway, then we use our first summon of the game. We call Proto Bahamut. Hey, easy wins. Yeah,
資源の竜
summons tend to be pretty useful in this game.
波の炎の子
That utility actually is very transformative across the game's progression. But yeah, this is where we get Bahamut. It makes sense to me. Random Hydra that we have never. That really doesn't have anything special about it. Can't stand up to Bahamut. Makes sense.
バカなバカなバカなバカな、そんなバカなですね。
おい、今だ。ここを離れるぞ。
こっちだ。意識ははっきりしているようだが、早く傷の手当てをしないと。
Alrighty. So yeah, beat up the Hydra, run away. Seems reasonable.
さっきのヒゲのおっさんからはなんとか逃げ切ったか。
I mean, ultimately, we're still vastly
さっ
outnumbered
きの
and everything.
聖
So
少獣バハムートって言ったか。
seems like a logical course of
眠って
action
い
to
た
me.
聖少が覚醒したってのか。けど聖少獣は星のためにしか操れねえはずだし、そもそも聖少獣は何百年も前に白空戦争で全滅したんじゃねえのかよ。
ルリアの力だ。この子は星の民にしか従わぬ聖少獣を操ることができる。そしてこれもルリアの力なのだろうか。平気なのか。痛みは、体に違和感はないか。
But yeah, so Luria seems to be
カタリナ、
a lot
こ
more
の人は
mysterious
命がけで
than
私を助けてくれたよ。
initially
け
suspected.
どそのせいでひどい怪我を負って、この人の命は輝きを失った。だから私自身の命をリンクさせたの。今度は私がこの人を助けるために。そう、これから私とあなたは文字通りの一心同体。私とあなたは一つの命を共有することになる。ごめんなさい、不便な体になっちゃって。でもあの時はこうするしか。
Yeah, I mean, better than dying, right? That's about all I could say about it.
それとさっきの召喚は私だけの力じゃありません。あの聖少獣バハムートはあなたを守るように現れて、むしろ力を貸してくれたというか。ご げたな。こりゃすげえぜ。おいらこいつは昔からやるやつだと思ってたぜ。
おい、いたぞ。こっちだ。
ち、造影に見つかっちまったみてえだな。やれるか？
一度死にかけているんだ。無理はするものじゃない。ここは私が。
いいのか？
Yeah, Catalina was conspicuously absent from the fight against that Hydra.
聞いていたろう。私が帝国を裏切ってルリアを逃がしたんだ。話は後だ。さあ構えろ。敵が来るぞ。
Alright, I believe this is going to be our first the tutorial about, you know, multiple party members and the like, so yeah. Catalina. Alright, we can use skills, yeah. Alright.
逃がさんぞ。
活路を切り開くぞ。まずはこいつらを蹴散らす。
Alright, so skills. Yeah. We'll see about that in a minute, but it did mention very briefly in that tutorial overview that if you save up multiple characters' charge bars for use in one turn, you get your chain burst. So, works out to be something that happens pretty often. Also, something that is noticeable about this tutorial is that the formation is pretty weird. This is not how the characters would normally be situated if they're in a party like this. Not particularly relevant, but it is something that will be noticeable if you look at a later battle.
この窮地も脱せよ。
仲間との属性の組み合わせも重要ってことだな。
くそ。
連戦になる場合、勝利までの戦闘回数はここで確認できる。
Yep. Wave counter up at the top. I don't need to mouse over that. It's pointing a giant red arrow at it.
この後にもさらに1回戦闘が控えているな。
けどここを切り抜ければ頑張りましょう。
追い詰めたぞ。
Alright.
容赦はせん。
傷は大丈夫
Keep
か？
pushing buttons.
私のアビリティで回復しておこう。アビリティは戦闘で一定ターン経過すると使用可能になる。温存することもできるが、ここは念のため使っておこうか。
Yeah. The dialogue there actually does kind of hint at using skills on cooldown, which is
これでまだ戦える。
often correct unless you have a very good reason to save them for later.
見切った。
バカな。さっさと片付けるぞ。はっ。
奥義の発動準備ができたようだな。だがここは待ってくれ。二人で同時に奥義を放ち、シェインバーストで一気に敵を葬る。奥義を放つかどうかは選ぶことができる。今は温存してくれ。
So yeah, we have this button here. Will
Yes.
switch us from using
これ
charge
でこの
attacks.
ターンは君は奥義を温存することになる。では行くぞ。
Hold is not, auto is use. It's pretty simple. Yep, then we push the button.
行くぞ。そこだ。
準備は整った。温存を解除してく。これで攻撃すれば二人同時に奥義を放てる。仕掛けるぞ。
It's also worth noting
チェイン
that
バーストとやらで
and it doesn't explain that here, but each special attack in the chain adds 10 bar to anyone who is after that character in the chain. So it's basically characters that are toward the front of the party have a harder time building bar, building gauge than those in the later part of the party. Worth noting for party setups.
こんなやつ。
成功だ。チェインバーストは奥義を発動する人数が多いほど強力になるんだ。また属性は最初の奥義のものに。今回は君が先に放ったので風属性のチェインバーストになった。
みんなすごいです。一気にやっつけちゃいました。
ここにいたのでは追い詰められるのは時間の問題か。やむをえん、この島を出るぞ。小型艇を用意してある。
Pretty cool of her.
成り行きとはいえ、お前が夢見た空の旅ってやつに出発だな。腹くくれよ。
Yep, guess we're starting on our way.
相変わらず潔いやつだな。そういうとこは親父さんそっくりだぜ。
ねえカタリナ、あの二人って本当に仲がいいんだね。
ああ、そのようだ。しかし無邪気にはしゃぐ B 君を見ているとなんとも穏やかな気持ちになるよ。
カタリナは前から好きだもんね。小動物とかモフモフしたものとか。
ああ、って和んでいる場合ではなかったな。さあ行こう。船はこっちだ。
Alright. Start of the journey. You know, having made it through the tutorial in One Piece.
これからよろしくお願いしますね。
And I mean, ultimately, it makes sense to go with Lyria, because if we're literally sharing one life, right, and she's out and somewhere else, and gets off, and then we'll just die randomly, it's probably better to be somewhere nearby.
空だ、空を飛んでるぜ、オイラたち。なんな、これからこの船で
This would definitely be terrifying, though.
そうだな。君が目指しているというのは空の果てでいいんだったな。空の果て。
Did we ever tell her that?
スタルシアか。星の民が住んでいるという伝説の島だ。険しい旅になるかもしれない。
Probably not, though. I guess there's some conversation that happened off screen.
そうか。であればまずは空域を分断している小流域を越えなくてはならない。そしてそれは私の目的にも合致する。このファータグランデ空域はエルステ帝国の勢力圏だからな。
こんなにお空が広いのに帝国は追ってくるのかな。
きっと追ってくる。だが心配することはない。何せ空は無限だからな。ファータグランデ空域の外に出れば帝国ももう追っては来れないは
なんであれ、とにかく長い旅になりそうだな。
ずだ。ああ、我ながら見切り発車だが空の果てを目指す旅か。なんだかワクワクしてきたよ。とはいえまずは旅の支度を整えようか。大きな町には気空団の世話をしてくれるよろず屋があるはずだ。 ここからだと近いのはポートブリーズかバルツ公国ならきっとよろず屋があるだろう。
これから新しい世界へと旅立つんですね。カタリナと B さんとあなたと、もしかしたらもっとたくさんの人と
新しい出会いもあるかもな。何が待ち受けてるかなんて行ってみないとわかんねえけどよ。だから行こうぜ。ここが空の彼方へ至る旅の始まりだ。
I like the level of implicit subtext in some of these lines, while still maintaining the positive energy to kind of hype up for the journey. It's like the game just started, right? We need to be upbeat, but there's definitely something behind some of these lines that are being spoken. But yeah, that more or less covers the generic premise of the game. We're gonna go find Dad. Where's Dad? East Lucia. Where's that? I don't know. But we're gonna find out. So yeah, here's our chapter select. You can tap this. And, you know, very clearly marked node shows up. This is basically quest selection in general. This is the summon borrowing screen. These are not real people. Usually, this screen is separated by elements. You'd be able to select your element that you want to summon from, and then select somebody else's summon to bring with you. In this case, we have random AI, which is fine. So we have brought a support summon. Alright. So, Catalina is worse at piloting than she let on initially.
平気だよ。あなたは大丈夫ですか？よかった。すごい揺れだったから怪我してないか心配で。
伊達に修行はしてないぜ。だよな。
Yeah, because we do training often to prepare ourselves for airship crashes.
気空艇の操縦がまさかここまで難しいとは。
So not only is Catalina a worse pilot than she let on, but has zero experience.
ったくひでえことしやがるな。動力部が爆発したのか。うわ、龍骨も割れてやがる。これじゃあもうどう修理したってこいつは二度と空には出られねえぜ。なあ、あんたたちが乗ってきたのか。
そうだが、君は？
なんだ、あんたたち気空団なのか。でも人数を見る限り駆け出しってとこか。
気空団か。いいかもな。オイラたちで気空団を旗揚げしちまうってのもなあ。親父さんも星の島へ行く前は気空団を率いてたって言ってたぜ。
は、やめとけやめとけ。気空艇を飛ばすには特別な技術が必要なんだぞ。仮にも気空団を名乗るってんなら ソーダ種の一人でも仲間にしてから名乗るこったな。
Yeah, makes sense. If you're gonna be an airship crew, you need someone to actually pilot the damn thing.
そうだしか。確かに空の旅を続けるのなら不可欠な人員だな。
っていうか、何だったんだあいつ。言うだけ言ってどっか行きやがって。
さあな。ともかく今は街を目指そう。
It may feel a
そ
little
こで
weird
旅の
that
支度を
this
整え
guy
られるは
randomly
ずだ。
shows up after we show up here. But it kind of makes sense when you think about it. We just crashed in the middle of a field. And he probably just came over to take a look, and you know, from when he was nearby. There's a lot of places nearby. So yeah, this is a side-scrolling bit. Hopefully this is the only one that shows up in this series, because this is fully skippable and does not do anything or have any gameplay. You just push the button and it does the thing automatically. I really don't understand these. There's a setting to turn them off that I will show when we get there. But for now, I'm just pushing the button so we can go through and get to the actual gameplay segment where, I mean, it's still the tutorial, so it's not going to be anything in depth, but at least we actually have to make decisions.
ここはポートブリーズ群島の首都エインガナ島だろう。この群島は交易が盛んなんだ。町まで行けば手に入らないものはないだろうな。
Well, at the very least, it seems like we got to where we need to go.
お空の旅って何が必要なのかな。
そうだな。まず私たちはとにもかくにも小流域を突破しなければならない。
知ってるそれ。なんだか怖いものがズバーンって空を区切ってるんだよね。
その通りだ。瘴気の満ちる一帯小流域が世界をいくつかの空域に分断している。ここポートブリーズ群島を含む空域はファータグランデ空域と呼ばれ、エルステ帝国の勢力圏でもある。私の講義をちゃんと聞いていたんだな。偉いぞルリア。
ねえねえトカゲさん、私褒められちゃいました。
だからオイラはトカゲじゃねえっつの。それでその小流域を突破するには一体何が必要だってんだ。
I probably should have made it more explicit in the English version that she's just calling him a lizard there.
移動手段とは主に気空艇のことだな。しかし素人の操縦では非常に危険だと身に染みて分かった。
あんな不時着してちゃ命がいくつあっても足りないもんな。
Yep, we definitely can't afford to have Catalina
だから
flying
私た
on
ちは
ship.
気空艇の操縦をなり
We
わい
will
とする
definitely die.
ソーダ種を仲間にする必要がある。そしてその気空艇で進むべき航路を記したもの、それがクーズだ。
それがあれば小流域を抜けられるの？
むしろクーズなしで小流域に挑むのは自殺行為に等しい。一握りの化け物を除いてな。
けどよ、クーズはバラバラになってて各党の守護神みたいな大聖小銃が持ってるんだろ。
Alright, so the line here, Catalina just said, this translation's a little strange. It was mentioning, then there's the monsters. That's actually not what she's talking about. She's saying that there are monstrous individuals who can cross the Grim Basin without getting the sky map pieces. It's a little awkward translation, but yeah, that's basically what she's referring to. And I think that's probably what a lot of the comments that I'll make in story segments is things that I think are weirdly translated, or things that are in English referentially incorrect. Anyway, let's continue as
そう言われているな。
we have just heard about some
要するに私た
sky
ちは
maps,
前途多難極まりないわけだ。
which basically do make up the premise for our initial journey. Collect sky maps,
間違いねえが
leave Phantom
まず
Grande.
目の前の敵から片付けねえとな
And this stage is indeed pretty indicative of the early game in Granblue Fantasy. There's a talky bit, there's a fighty bit. From my late game knowledge, I can tell you later on, there are very few fighty bits. But in the early game, basically every node, in fact, I think every node for quite a few chapters, is a fighty bit. Which leads to the early game feeling a little bit like a slog. It's pretty tedious to go through them. Especially with the improvements that have been made to the game over years, where the early game gets easier. So basically, the early game fighty bits, the combat segments, won't have as much challenge to them. It's not really a problem, but it is, I don't know, most of the combat segments aren't challenging anyway. So it doesn't mark a problem. And in fact, if you really want to, you can skip the story, I think, to a couple different points. I'm going to try to avoid doing that, just to experience it again. But yeah, let's start off
うさぎさんが近寄ってきます
by killing this
かわ
rabbit
いいな
and this bug
待て待てありゃああ見えて凶暴な魔物だぜ
油
and
断
the
するな。
slime, of course.
行くぞ。
No need to select any targets or anything. Let's start stabbing.
うさぎさんおいでおいで次は技を使ってきやがるぞ早く
Alright, Luria's being a little bit weird.
見切った。
お姉さん何やってんだ
あのモフモフなウサギをこの手にかけるのかと思うとすまない。今後は君と同じ敵を狙うようにするよ。
Yeah, I do believe that is the only time in the game where your party members do not attack the same target as you.
結構ダメージを受けたな
さっき拾った回復薬を使おう。おしん
Alright, but yeah. Healing items. These are essentially the rewards for the side-scrolling parts. You still get them even if you skip the side-scrolling parts, so that's why we skipped the side-scrolling bit, because it doesn't offer any engagement. Blue potions heal the entire party. I think it's by about 40%, and green potions heal one member, I think by about 60%. I don't know the exact numbers, but that's more or less where we're at.
元気が出たところで奥義でぶっ倒しちまえ
頼んだ。このまま攻撃で一気に行くぞ。
Yeah, you'll see. I know a lot about the game, but I don't know a lot of the exact numbers off the top of my head. So that's just how it's gonna end up.
お素早い攻撃だなやるじゃねえか
Hey, first Battle
稀
player
に
theme.
ダブルアタックとして連続で攻撃できる場合があるのさ。
さあ、このまま街を目指しましょ
Neat. Alright. When you get a new drop, it pops up, tells you what it is. These are useless items. I say that we might use them for a little while. Yeah, then this brings us to our main page. We're still in the tutorial, so we can't do anything. But yeah, this is what the main page looks like. Yeah, and right now, no matter what we do, we can't avoid clicking on the button
う。
to draw.
建物がいっぱい。
So the tutorial is going to force us to pull the gacha.
見たことねえ果物も
That said,
いろいろ売ってる
it has a fixed result.
あの赤い実からいい匂いがするぜ
So we can essentially treat this not
腹ご
as
しらえもいいが、
gacha,
まず
but
は
as
装
a
備を整
story
えるか。
event
武器を
that
調
leads
達す
to
る
a fixed result of a certain character joining our team.
そういう時はよろずやシェロちゃんにお任せ
And if you think that pulling the gacha leading to a character joining your team is a spoiler,
どっから出てきた
then
のこい
you
つ
probably are not familiar with gacha games
ふん
like this.
野暮なことは聞いちゃいけないですよ
ともかく武器の調達をお願いしようか。武器を手に入れるにはルピが必要だが、ここは私が出そう。気にするな。これが大人の余裕というやつさ。
But yeah, so rupee draw, and I will talk more about the actual gacha later, even though I'm not actually using it. But the rupee draw is a thing in the game. It's something that used to be recommended that you do. I don't think that there's a real reason to do it. The odds that anything useful happens by clicking on the button for the rupee draw are astronomically low. But in this case, we get, you know, these 9 weapons and slash summons, and the Mangosh. Let me not embarrass myself by pronouncing weapons in the future. We get this dagger. And this dagger happens to come with a character. Boom.
勇猛なる森の戦士フォレストレンジャーウェルダーだ
So yeah, we've recruited a welder, and you know, here's our tooltip about gacha weapons, unlocking characters, and fate episodes, being short stories about the characters that basically it varies kind of between characters, but every character has at least every gacha character has a recruitment scene that rewards you with 50 crystals, and a skill unlock scene where they unlock a skill after having leveled up a bit. Yeah, as it kind of explains it here. Earn rewards is pretty vague though, so. Alright.
一通りの武器が手に入ったようだな。
But yeah, since the tutorial continues after this, it's definitely like
武器には基本的なものとして
more like
剣、
an event, a scene than actual pulling the gacha.
杖、銃、格闘具など
Because
い
I
ろ
know
いろな種類がありまして
most tutorial pulls that I've seen in other
他
gacha
にも
games
扱いが難しい
do
も
not have
の
a
と
fixed
して
result.
弓、楽器、刀といった武器も含め全部で10種類ほどがありますよ。自分のジョブに
Now,
よ
I've
っ
played
て
this game for a
得
long
意
time.
武
I
器の
still
種
think
類
that
が変わ
hearts
るから
aren't a real
要注
weapon.
意です。
やったぞ。召喚石も手に入っているな。これはバトルで聖少獣を呼ぶために必要なものだ。バトルの流れを大きく左右するぞ。
武器も召喚石も装備しないと意味がないので、これまた要注意です。
Yep, makes sense.
それじゃあ早速ここで装備していっちゃいましょう。
Alright. And yep. We get our notification. That pops up every time you get a new character from the gacha. And we finally see our first view of the party selection screen. We're not going to see it for very long because we're not going to make any decisions here. But we have our party set up. This is our first view of the weapon grid. There'll be a lot more to talk about this in a progression video later. But for now, we're not going to do anything. Same with summons. Yeah. But yeah, the weapons that you get, your main character ends up being able to equip every weapon in the game. They are the only one that equips weapons, in fact. But the weapons that you draw, the weapons that you gain through other means, you know, the special attack, the charge attack that you use with them is different, as it explains here. And it's very important to kind of figure it out as to like what weapons are good, because some weapons are just not very good as the main character's equipment, but they make fantastic pieces in the rest of your grid. Again, I'll talk about that later. Same with summons. But yeah, here's the blurb that they give about summons. Summons boost your stats. Main summon has an aura, does things for you. Talks about your party. Frontline is 4 members, which 4 members including your main character. Main character can't be removed. So yeah, total of 6 characters. It says 5, but that's bringing 5 other characters. Anyway, it's enough explaining things that are written on the screen.
よっ、待ってました。
有望なる森の戦士、フォレストレンジャー、ウェルダーだ。これからこの気空団の一員として尽力させてもらう。よろしく頼むぞ。
You know, Welder's an alright guy.
さすがウェルダーさん、動きにキレがありますね。
当然だ。朝昼晩と自主練習は欠かさないからな。
なぜだ。なぜ何度も見ていると不思議とかっこよく見えてくるのか。
みんなすっかりウェルダーの虜だな。
ともかく頼もしい仲間が増えて何よりだ。
空にはいろんなやつがいるからな。旅を続けてりゃ他にも仲間が増えることがあるだろうぜ。
あ、
That's definitely
きっと彼
true.
らは貴重な戦力になってく
We
る。
are going to need to recruit a lot more characters than just
どんどん
Catalina
仲
and
間を増やして
Walder.
賑やかな旅にしていこうじゃないか。
We'll definitely talk about methods to do that when we make that
これで一通り
jump in progression.
戦うための準備は整ったな。
武器や召喚石は手に入れるだけじゃなくて装備しなくちゃいけないんだよね。私覚えたよ。
そういや、気づけばさっきのちびっこ店長がいねえな。
彼女のよろずやは今後も幾度となくお世話になる店だ。またすぐに会うことになるだろうさ。
Yep, that's definitely true. She is the main shopkeeper of the game.
さあ、ここからが旅の本番だ。気を引き締めていくぞ。
All right. So now we link an account. Hopefully I've set this up properly. I should have logged into a Mobile account that is not currently linked to a Granblue game. Let's see if this actually works. Okay, that looks promising. Hey, we did it. Alright. Login bonus. Alright, we got nothing because I'm not going to use draw tickets. 50 crystals. There's a couple uses of crystals that aren't gacha related, so we might use those eventually. This is the Valentine's event stuff, so we're not going to talk about that. It's just a scene. We're not taking advantage of anything. Yep, that's the gacha. Don't have that. Not my problem. No. Alright. Okay. So, that's gonna cover it for this initial video where we're just talking about the tutorial. Hopefully, going forward, things are a little bit less awkward because we'll be able to distinguish between the two different types of videos: progression videos and story videos. Largely, next up is definitely going to be story videos. We're going to have to make some progress in the main story in order to do some real progression. For now, we're kind of stuck with what we've got, which is, if we click on party, what is this? I don't care about that. We have level 1 Catalina, level 1 Walder, and level 1 Fighter for our main character. Nothing special going on here whatsoever. So, we can, and you can tap everything to just see what's going on. Tap the weapon, whatever. Anyway, I hope this is a decent enough intro. The tutorial is a little bit strange to go through, I will admit. Hopefully, going forward, we won't have any more issues. And as we can scroll down and see a billion things, we can definitely see our first major progress point being right here. This is our first aim. Get to chapter 8 of the main quest so we can do something in progression. So this has been Shadow SP playing Granblue Fantasy. Hopefully this has been a good intro. Signing off.